remote desktop in a way that you can use easily your USB devices, listen music, watch videos, do whatever you want with the remote system like it was a local one. How does it work? As you can see, it's a client-server architecture. Spice client is a program running on your local system, on your local desktop, and it's used to access the remote system. Server, in our case Spice server, represent a set of interfaces to the remote desktop, and they communicate using Spice protocol, which defines rules and messages for communication. And as I said, a server represents a set of interfaces, and to handle these interfaces we have channels. Each channel acts as a device of the remote system. For instance, there are input channels to handle mouse and keyboard events, cursor, which gives us shape and position of the remote cursor. There are sound channels for audio input and output. USB channels, as I mentioned earlier, they allow us to use our local USB devices like webcams or mouse or flash drives on the remote system. And in this talk, we will focus on the display channel. Display channel is there to send data, image data, from Spice server to Spice client. But how does server get the data? Well, typically an application running on the remote desktop wants to display something. So it asks the video card to do some rendering. But with Spice, the video driver forwards this image data to Spice server instead of doing any rendering. After that, when server gets the data, it just sends them to the client. Of course, there is a space for optimizations. Spice server does them. For instance, it can compress the images to save the bandwidth. Another optimization to save the bandwidth is to not send any data twice. For instance, here you can see that we are transferring much more than the image itself. Like we are transferring also the background and this kind of stuff. So Spice can avoid this and send only the image updates, like this. To show it, how it works, we prepared a short demo. Okay, so here you see I connected with Spice client, in this case Remote Bureau, to Windows 7 guest, and what you see in the red is the image update I talk about. So you can see that we are sending only the red stuff. The clock ticks, so it refreshes. You can try to do right click. So what is red is updated. And what happens if I try to play a video? You see, this is a stream of images coming all the time. And with that, I will give word to my friend Victor to talk a little bit about streaming.
Thank you. So I'll talk how the streaming part work, or why this is important. Server not found. This is not good. Yes. So As Pavel was showing, what happens when you play a video in your guest is that you get too many updates in a region in that display area. So it makes sense to convert these images, all these updates, to a stream. For several reasons. It's simply not just for saving bandwidth, but you can smooth out the connection, the interface for the user is much better. So in Spice, we do have support for MJPEG stream for quite a few years already. But recently, we got support for also VP8, H.264, video codecs formats with GStreamer integration, thanks to François Gouget, I think how to pronounce his name. But what is GStreamer? So GStreamer is a framework for multimedia applications. Basically, an application like Spice can use it to handle video streams, audio streams, and other stuff if necessary. So if you think about GStreamer, you have to think about two things. You have to keep it in mind, is that it's pipeline-based. If you're not familiar with the term pipeline, it's like building blocks. So at first you do some row of blocks, you construct something, and then after that you can play with it, remove a block, add a block, and you get something different from it. So that means that it's very flexible. Also, it's very extensible as well, because to add something, to include new features, you just need to play with these blocks. So that's what it means. There is a small example that I put there, GStreamer interacting with 3 different elements. The first element, for instance, it gives this color bar input. It's like a video being input. Also that snow from TV, that you get when you don't have signal. The second element is audio-video convert. It should do what it's necessary to present that seamlessly in the application. So let's say scale it or change the bit format, stuff like that. And auto video sync is what gives you this GTK widget and updates the display for you. Yes. So how we do use it in Spice? We get several updates, like that YouTube video, and that second image there is our pipeline, our blocks, our building blocks in our Spice server. This app source is the element that we put all our images into, and the second element that goes, after you're putting all that image, it will go to the second element. What we will do, it will try to encode it in some video format. So for us to get MJPEG, VP8, or H.264 stream, we just need to play with that block. All the other stuff is almost untouched after you got the streamer integration. So that's pretty cool. After that, we get the stream, and we can send it to the client using Spice protocol. So basically, that's it about the GStreamer integration, how it works internally. But who benefits from it? Why it's so nice? So basically, all the other clients, because like mobile clients, Steam clients, like Raspberry Pi or small hardwares, HTML clients as well, because all of those clients, they usually try to lower resources from CPU, memory, and so on. So if you can do hardware decoding from these streams, you can manage these resources much better. And usually from H.264 in VP8, VP9, they are being handled in the new hardwares. And we do have a demo about it. Pavel will be connecting to my machine, my actual machine, using a tool called X11 Spice, which was developed by Jeremy White. And yeah, so the whole desktop will be streamed, and Pavel will play a little bit with it. So you can see there that somewhere there, I can. Oh, it's up, but I can show, I guess. Just a second, Pavel. So this is like what I'm calling here. It's like our server side in the desktop. I'm saying, hey, you can connect to my machine in this port. I allow you to control my machine as well, and that's basically it. It's our server side in the desktop.
Okay, and I will show you that we can even use Spice for streaming and play some game.
Let's see how good he is.
Yeah, if it's bad, it's not because of Spice, it's because of me, yeah.
Yeah. So in general, you might see some delay. It's really less than a second, of course. But this delay is mostly because of software and software encoding and software decoding that we are doing. So it's not so light for us. Thank you, Pavel. And of course, we hope to do much better with hardware encoding and hardware decoding. Actually, in really near future. So that again. Yes. So that brings us to future, and this is like something that we want to do in the next few months. Upstream, handling better hardware decoding and hardware encoding with GStreamer V API, which got integrated in GStreamer 110. Yeah, I know that the decoding side is quite okay. The encoding side, not so much, but let's see. And also, of course, there are some other applications that might want to handle the streaming differently. So let's say you're connected to some desktop, some remote desktop that you are actually in a call there, or something is happening there. But your network flow, something is happening, and like the bandwidth is lowering. So we might want to do dynamic changes on the flow, and we do have a way to do that, but it needs improvement. So basically, that's the main goals for the near future. And yeah, basically it. That's the whole thing about GStreamer with Spice integration. Any questions? Yeah. For Wayland desktop. So for Wayland desktop, we do have, for streaming side, this tool will not work. It works for X11 only. We need a Wayland compositor for ourselves for that. So there are some work progress that I know of, but yeah, this exactly thing would not work on Wayland. Our major concerns on Wayland is like clipboard interaction or other features that we did not mention in this talk, like multi-monitor. We have several features that Wayland we need to integrate better. Yeah.
But with virtual machines, it works fine because we get driver.
Yes. The streaming itself works. Just this tool that would not work. Yeah. That we showed the game playing. Any more questions? Nope. So, yeah.
What are the minimum requirements for the connection?
Minimum requirements. It depends on what do you want to do.
For decent experience.
Huh?
For decent experience.
For this, so if you're just playing a video or something like that, we don't have numbers, but the requirements are quite low with basic CPU, and you could have a good interaction with the remote desktop, yes. But if you are doing heavy rendering, might have too many updates. Like you saw it, we try to be smart on the updates on the display. But with streaming itself, it can become very heavy. Let's say Spice enables you to have 3 displays. So let's say you're trying to do streaming on 3 displays, it can become very heavy. So it depends on your usage. But for like a single monitor, it could be very low requirements. Yeah. Like a Raspberry Pi, I saw it working quite well.
Does it use any specific ports,
For
Does it use any specific words in the network?
specific parts, yeah. Well, it's something that we can change, but it's like 5,900 is the basic, and from there till 6,000.
It's up to user to choose the port.
Yeah. In this demo, I think we use it 5555. Yeah. So you can choose. Yeah. Any other questions?
You mentioned something about the delay that the client gets. Is it because of the network, or is it some encoding that the software itself takes some time to do?
Yeah, in this case, we are doing software encoding and decoding, and it's for a bit heavy for a 3D game like Tux. So we got, I think, half-second delay from encoding and decoding. And even, you see, the resolution is not that big as well, so the impact's a bit.
Software problem.
It was software.
Not a network problem.
Not a network problem. If we do hardware encoding and decoding, it should be much better, much faster.
When you were streaming your desktop, can you actually lock the screen and still use it remotely? Like with Windows remote desktop, you can lock the screen locally and still use it remotely. Can you do that?
No, it basically asks the X server for the frame buffer, so you will stream the locked screen.
Is that in a plan somehow in the future?
I'm not aware of it. Yeah.
Maybe with Playland or something?
Maybe.
The question was if we plan to do this locking stuff in the future. This is purely upstream project from external contributors, so we are not involved in it, but I'm not aware of any plans for this locking.
Okay. So I guess we are running, or it's still fine? Yeah? Yeah, so any other questions? No? Yeah?
Nasty question. I noticed the demo was quite fluid. Did you tune it or have to tweak things for
No, it was this for the Tux stuff. We used the last from master in his GitHub from Jeremy White from Code Weavers. I can give you links for that if you want. Just run it and you connect with some Spice client. It could be a remote viewer, for instance, and it just worked. Yeah, we didn't do anything special for make it work.
We lowered resolution.
We did that. Yeah, that's true. We did that. But also because the resolution here is 4:3, so. Okay. Yes.
Do you know about any limits like, let's say, 4K, 8K gaming or something like that? You actually kept the limits and you are not able to.
As bigger the resolution.
The question was if there are limits with higher resolutions. Yes, there are, because it's a lot of data. So it can affect. I don't know if on LAN network it's possible, like on ordinary LAN network, let's say 100 megabits. Hard to say. I haven't tried.
It's about network limits.
If you have good network and a lot of CPU and you do hardware decoding and you are able to transmit all the data,
it should work, yeah. Okay, so we will be around the whole conference. Feel free to ask any other questions. We'll be glad to explain you anything related to Spice. Okay? Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's true. I got confused. It's not 20 minutes of plus questions. It's plus questions.
Yeah, 20 minutes talk and 5 minutes questions. So
I
you
thought like
continue for 5 minutes.
oh,
yeah, I think
Yesterday you had 5 FPS and then it was like smooth. Like
everything was because of the resolution. I guess.
only the resolution.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was good. I thought you might have changed the encoder or something.
We tried with CP8.
You're still using the Spice protocol.
MJ Tag is Streaming packets?
Good job.
Thank you.
Good job.
Oh,
Yeah.
Speaking, if you want to, okay, there we go. If you want to turn it off, you just now. Raz. So now it's on. Probably there is, but so you need to be.
1, 2, 3. Okay.
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
Maybe a little bit in the center.
Test.
That works.
Yeah, I should.
You did.